Hey guys, this is test 30, game 1. This is the Loaves of Bread game. It's an in-out game, also known as selection. But in this game, it's pretty unusual just because there's only one conditional statement. All the other rules are concrete, and they don't really link together. So it's just that last conditional rule, the final rule of the game, rule number 5, that we're going to be primarily concerned with here. The other rules are all pretty simple. What's unfortunate about them is they don't link together really. So this game is unique in that there aren't really any significant inferences to make. I know, very strange, right? Anyway, we've got oatmeal, rye, and wheat, either sliced or unsliced. We've got an in-out table here because they tell us that there are going to be exactly 6 loaves of bread delivered. And I didn't put any number above the out column because these loaves are like theoretical loaves. We could have 5 oatmeals, we could have 3 ryes, one wheat. We don't know how many there actually are. There is no set pool of loaves of bread that we are choosing from. Rather, we just have a list of types of loaves of bread, and we could basically make up as many as we wanted, as long as we comply with the rules. So the first rule says there are at least 2 kinds of loaves. And the kinds, as noted in the first paragraph of the game, kinds are oatmeal, rye, wheat, not sliced or unsliced in particular. So I just put down ORW, 2 or 3 total. The next rule, there are no more than 3 rye loaves. So we then have less than or equal to 3 ryes in the game. We have no more than 3 ryes, maximum 3. Next, there is no unsliced wheat loaf. So I'm going to put unsliced wheat in the out column here. We're never going to have unsliced wheat. Next rule, there's always at least 1 unsliced oatmeal. So I'm going to put unsliced oatmeal in the in column here. And the final rule is the conditional, really the most important, most complicated rule. If we have 2 or more unsliced loaves, meaning if there exists greater than or equal to 2 unsliced loaves, then we will have to have at least 1 unsliced rye. So if we've at least 2 unsliced loaves, then at least one of those unsliced loaves will be rye. And that is our setup for the game. Number 1, general orientation question, complete and accurate list of loaves the bakery might deliver. We simply want to take one rule at a time, apply that rule to all 5 choices, looking for violations. The first rule of the game is very simple, at least 2 kinds of loaves. Choice A mentions only oatmeal, so that is incorrect and eliminated. I'll check through the others, but you can very easily see we have more than 1 kind of loaf for each of the others. B has O and R, C has O and W, D has O and R, E has O and W, so we're good on that one. Next, no more than 3 rye loaves, less than or equal to 3, the second rule of the game. None of the choices violates that, so that rule's not going to help us out. Next, we've got unsliced wheat is always out. C mentions unsliced wheat as being in, unacceptable, eliminated. The other rules are good on that particular issue. Next, at least 1 unsliced oatmeal. They all list unsliced oatmeal, so that is not going to be helpful, unfortunately. But the final rule, that conditional, at least 2 unsliced, then we've got to have unsliced rye occurring at some point. Looking at B, we have 5 unsliced, yet in addition to that we only have 1 sliced rye. We do not have any unsliced rye in B, which is unacceptable. Then we've got D and E, both mentioning more than 1 unsliced, of course, at least 2 unsliced. D contains unsliced rye, which is good. E does not, so E is eliminated, leaving D as our answer. Now, you could have also approached this question simply by taking that final rule of the game, this, conditional statement right here, which is a very powerful conditional, because if you saw, all of A through E mentioned more than 1, meaning at least 2 unsliced loaves. You could have just used this rule, applied it to all 5 choices. You would have gotten to D right away. I just wanted to show you how you could have made use of the other rules as well if you didn't see that from the outset. Next, number 2. This is like an orientation question, but it is an accept question. Note the accept in caps. They're very important to make note of that. And they're talking specifically about unsliced loaves in particular, rather than loaves in general. So you definitely want to be aware of that. Now, we've got, of course, our very powerful conditional rule right here. At least 2 unsliced, then at least one of those has to be unsliced rye. Now, notice that B, C, D, E all mention oatmeal, which they have to, of course, because unsliced oatmeal is always in. Every choice must mention that for number 2. But B, C, D, E also mention rye. So they are all complying with this rule, making them good because they have both O and R, which is at least 2 types of loaves. None of those has more than 3 rye, so we're good on that. None of them contains unsliced oatmeal, so we're okay on that. So really, A is the only bad one here. A is bad because it activates the sufficient condition of this rule, yet does not comply with the necessary to have unsliced rye. So A is bad, and for that reason, it is our answer because, again, remember, it's an except question. Next, number 3, what statement cannot be true? Very general question, not a clear starting point to go forward with. Just basically run through the choices, asking yourself what could never happen or what seems possible, because if something seems possible, maybe you want to skip it in the hope that it could have probably been eliminated. Anyway, choice A, only unsliced loaves or oatmeal. Well, we know that we've got to have unsliced oatmeal in at all times, at least one of those. Do we need to have any other unsliced loaves? Not if we don't activate this conditional rule right here, so no particular reason to think that A is bad. B, only sliced loaves or rye loaves. Well, we don't really need to have any sliced loaves in particular at all. So B also seems fine. We'll leave it alone for now. C, only unsliced loaves are rye loaves. That is unacceptable because we've got to have unsliced oatmeal at all times, at least one of those at all times. C is our answer to this question. No need to go through the rest, although I will just in case you'd like me to. D, number of sliced loaves exactly 1 greater than the number of sliced oatmeal loaves. That means sliced oatmeals compose all but one of the sliced loaves. Nothing seems bad about that. E, unsliced loaves greater than number of unsliced oatmeal. Again, no particular reason to think that would pose a problem. So C is our answer for number 3. Next, number 4, general must be true question. Again, no way to predict it here, just run through the choices. A, at least 1 loaf is rye. Maybe, maybe not. No particular reason to believe that we need to have that. I'll skip it, move on. B, at least one of the loaves is wheat. There's no particular reason to believe that we need to have a wheat one either. If you look back at 1D, we could have had 4 unsliced oatmeals, 2 unsliced ryes. We never needed to have wheat either, so we certainly know that B is not a must and can be eliminated off the bat. C, at least one of the loaves is sliced. No particular reason to believe that. Again, if you looked back at question 1, choice D, we did not have any sliced loaves. So C for number 4 can be eliminated. D, no more than 4 oatmeal loaves are sliced. That right there would pose a major problem if we violated it. If we had 5 sliced oatmeals, then we would have a total of 6 oatmeals altogether, given that we have to have 1 unsliced oatmeal from the outset. So that would violate the rule telling us that we have to have 2 or 3 kinds of loaves. These would all be oatmeals composing 1 kind. We would not have at least 2 kinds. So for that reason, it is impossible to violate what D is saying. We could never have 5 sliced oatmeals. In reality, we could only have 4 sliced oatmeals so that we would have room for some other thing, which would be a rye or a wheat, in order to comply with the first rule of the game. Finally, number 5, if the bakery delivers exactly 4 wheat loaves, it could also deliver. Now, it cannot deliver any unsliced wheat, because unsliced wheat is always out according to the third rule of the game. So for that reason, our 4 wheat loaves will all have to be sliced wheat loaves. And we already have unsliced oatmeal, of course, so we really only have room for one other thing. We don't know exactly what that other thing will be, of course, though. But when they ask us, what could the bakery also deliver? Well, it's got to deliver at least 1 unsliced oatmeal because it always needs to have at least 1 unsliced oatmeal. So for that reason, any choice not mentioning unsliced oatmeal must automatically be eliminated. A does not mention unsliced oatmeal. That is gone. B mentions it, so we'll keep that for now. C does not mention unsliced oatmeal. It is gone. D mentions unsliced oatmeal, so we keep it. E does not mention unsliced oatmeal, so it is gone. We're down to B and D. What do we do now? Well, we have to realize that if we had two unsliced oatmeals, meaning one other one in addition to that minimum, so I'm going to draw unsliced oatmeal in that little slot, that would activate our conditional rule, the final rule of the game, requiring us to have unsliced rye. But there is no room for unsliced rye here. That would be 1, 2, 3 plus 4 is 7. We can only have 6. So we would have too many loaves of bread. Therefore, we cannot activate this rule. This conditional rule cannot be activated because we can't have unsliced rye, meaning we cannot have two unsliced oatmeals. So for that reason, D is gone, B is our answer, and B is totally fine. We very easily have room for a sliced oatmeal as well as the unsliced oatmeal because those two oatmeals together do not activate our conditional rule, the final rule of the game. B is our answer to number 5.